reached.
Thank you, Matthew. Don't go too far, as we will be back with you very shortly. President Donald Trump says the United States is deepening security cooperation with Honduras after what he described as a very important meeting with President Asfura. Trump said both leaders agreed to work closely to counter cartels and drug trafficking networks, while also stepping up the deportation of illegal migrants and gang members from the United States. Furthermore, he said the talks covered broader issues, including trade and investment between the two countries. Trump added that if he looks forward to welcoming the Honduran president back to the United States soon, as both sides aim to strengthen their partnership. We are now being joined back by Matthew. Thank you so much for joining us back here on NewsX World. What does Trump's close personal and security partnership with Honduras signal about US priorities in Central America?
Well, I believe that Honduras is the only country in Central America where the United States actually has a military base. So in that sense, Honduras, or for that reason, Honduras is quite important to U.S. national security policy. And so it's not surprising that President Trump is nurturing a close relationship with the new president there, President Asfura, and and they both have some similar backgrounds. Nasri Asfura, the new president of Honduras, was apparently in the construction business before he entered public life, and that's pretty similar to what President Donald Trump was doing before he decided to become a politician and run for office. Trump was in the real estate development business. A lot of overlap between that and construction, and so these gentlemen have a lot in common to begin with.
And can cooperation on cartels, drug trafficking and deportations actually improve regional security, or does it risk pushing problems further down the region?
Further down the road, I would say it does. That's a speculative point. I don't know that it would. I think one of the reasons that the United States is not so keen on allowing people from Honduras to enjoy TPS, temporary protected status, in the United States, is because Honduras is now viewed as a safe country, that people don't have a legitimate fear of persecution if they return there. The U.S. policy regards Honduras as an okay country now, unlike, for example, Cuba, and they may send some Hondurans back, which I think makes some of the people in the Honduran government upset, but I think they view it as a cost of doing business with an important ally, with the world's only superpower.
And does Trump's open political support for Asfura strengthen bilateral ties, or does it raise concerns about US influence in Honduras domestic politics?
Well, Donald Trump has intervened in an unprecedented way, to my mind, in endorsing candidates around the world. U.S. presidents don't normally do that. Sometimes, they'll favor a certain candidate, they'll be friendly towards them, but Donald Trump has actually endorsed quite a few of them, and this is quite unusual. And I can see why people would say that that amounts to the U.S. interfering in the affairs of other countries. I don't think too many other world leaders do that generally. This is President Trump's style. When he sees somebody he likes and he wants them to win, he endorses them, and oftentimes they do. It is pretty unusual, though, for him to do it beyond the borders of the United States. And I think there has been some blowback over that. There's been some resentment in various countries around the world over President Trump's doing that. Whether that's going to cause problems in, U.S. relations with various countries around the world is hard to say. But I think it makes them inclined to not believe that the United States is dealing fairly with all countries, that it's that expression they use in diplomatic circles, that the U.S. is not an honest broker. And I think it raises concerns that the U.S. is not an honest broker in diplomatic discussions, that it has an ulterior motive, and that it's not playing straight with countries.
And beyond security, how realistic is deeper US Honduras cooperation on trade and investment, and who stands to benefit the most from it?
Well, it's very likely that relations will improve so that there's greater U.S. investment in Honduras. I think that the United States is already Honduras's number one international trading partner. But if American businesses view Honduras as a good place to invest, a good place to set up businesses, I don't see why they wouldn't why they wouldn't do that. Going against that, then you have pressure in the other direction, saying that U.S. businesses should be investing in America and not, and not be going beyond their borders with their investments. So, there's kind of a political tug of war there, where U.S. businesses are damned if they do and damned if they don't.
Thank you, Matthew, for joining us here today on NewsX World. Polling stations have opened in Japan.